Hello guys, welcome back to Halloween Horrors here on Beyond the Realms. And as I mentioned before in a couple other videos, I've just been on such an old school kick this Halloween. I mean, the old school black and white films, or just old school films in general, they tend to play better at this time of year. But for some reason this year, I've just been into them a lot more, and I've actually been preferring them over any other type of film the most this Halloween season. And, I've been trying to go back and watch some classic horror films that I've never seen before. And today I have a review for one of those for you, and it is for The Pit and the Pendulum, starring Vincent Price. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with this film, it tells a story of a guy named Francis Bernard. It's played by John Kerr. His sister recently passed away. Her name is Elizabeth, and she's played by Barbara Steele. Well, Elizabeth died mysteriously, and Francis isn't sure what exactly happened, so he travels to his brother-in-law's house, or castle I should say, Nicholas Medina, which is played by Vincent Price. And Nicholas is really vague on how exactly Elizabeth died, and Francis is very skeptical of him. Like, he doesn't realize, doesn't really know what's going on, but he knows there's something under the surface here. But Nicholas is, he's very lost. He's very, depressed and down because he says Elizabeth died from a rare blood disease. But then you come to find out later on that there's Dr. Leon is there, and he has a different explanation for Elizabeth's death, and that really throws up the red flags for Francis, because then Nicholas says, oh yeah, well, she didn't die from a blood disease, she died from fright. They basically say she died from fright. They say that how do they put it, that the heaviness of the castle got to her, and she became obsessed with this torture chamber that's there, and she got locked in an Iron Maiden and she died of fright. That's the explanation that's given. And then also, as the film goes on, we find out, a little bit about Nicholas's past, how when he was a kid, he was playing down in the dungeon in the torture chamber, and he saw his father commit a murder, and it gets, really affected his life. And, so that kind of plays into the story here and what's going on. But Francis becomes more and more leery of what's going on. But Nicholas really he really is genuinely torn apart, because he believes Elizabeth is dead. And then eventually what happens is he ends up being tormented by what he believes is her ghost. He hears her at night calling out Sebastian, which was his father's name, and her room in the castle ends up getting destroyed. They're not sure what happened. Francis thinks Nicholas is in on this, and he's doing all this stuff to make it look like it was Elizabeth's ghost, but Nicholas really isn't in on this. But things they progress towards the worst, because Elizabeth's ghost keeps haunting Nicholas, and Francis becomes more and more skeptical, and eventually I won't reveal what happens, because I'm sure some of you may have not seen this and want to go into it blind, but things aren't as they seem, obviously in this, and eventually Nicholas, towards the end of this film, just loses his marbles and just goes absolutely insane. But guys, this film was really, really awesome. I was very impressed with this for so many reasons. And they had an all-star cast and crew with this. John Kerr did great. As Francis, and Barbara Steele, of course, is awesome. Even though she's not in it a lot, she still has a pretty significant role, but she's not in it nearly as much as John Kerr and Vincent Price. And Vincent Price, I mean, man, he's really, really awesome in this. I mean, you look at this time period, it's 1961, there's some stuff in this, it's going to be considered overacting or cheesy acting by today's standards, but, if you watch this film, you have to put yourself into this time period, and kind of be forgiving of stuff like that. And look at it, well, not even forgiving, because there's nothing to be forgiven for, it's awesome performance, but you just have to look at it differently than today's standards. And Vincent Price is just really, really awesome in this. And another cool thing about this is the great Roger Corman directed it, which I had no clue until I watched it. I didn't even know that. And then also another thing I didn't know is Richard Matheson did the screenplay, which Richard Matheson, of course, is known for the book I Am Legend. He's known for Stir of Echoes. I mean, he's done tons of stuff. So it was really cool, that he did a screenplay. And just all the elements were really there for this film. And it just turned out really great. I mean, it's a nice old style setting. I think it's set in I want to say the 1700s, I believe. I'm not exactly sure on that. Don't quote me on that. But this is based after an Edgar Allan Poe story. And, it's set in old times, and, like, the castle is just, there's a foreboding, dreadful feeling to this castle. It's big, it's old, it's cold. But a lot of, like the set pieces that they put in this are just really amazing. I mean, it's really high dollar for its time. Everything looks very believable, all their outfits and everything within the castle. But then also, one thing that I really liked about this is some of the cinematography. Like, some of these flashback shots with Elizabeth, like the way they're lit with this blue lighting, it's just really awesome. There's some really colorful scenes in this too. And then also one of the flashback with Nicholas when it's showing him as a kid, it also utilizes a lot of really cool lighting and really effective lighting that just it just makes you feel it more. It makes you feel the dreadfulness of the story and the things that are going on. It has a really good score also. I thought the score really worked for the film. But just all the way around, guys, I mean, I can definitely understand why this film is considered such a classic. And it was a real treat to watch this for the first time ever at this time of year. It's very fitting for the Halloween season. And, I just can't say enough good things about Vincent Price in this, especially towards the end. Because he starts off as this, this really sad man that's really, missing his wife and everything, and then once he sees the deceit and everything that's going on, and how, he's been played for the fool, it's just, you see the turn in him, because the ghost, when he's seeing all these ghostly images and hearing all this ghostly stuff, I mean, it starts to really play with his mind and drive him insane. But then at the end, man, he really does just totally go insane. I mean, it's some amazing stuff, guys. I think it's really awesome. He really plays the role well, and it's no wonder he's remembered for this role so much, and why it's considered one of his greatest films. I can understand that totally now. But guys, The Pit and the Pendulum, I give it a 9 out of 10. I highly enjoyed this film. This is one that, I already want to watch it again. I mean, because, just the whole ending part. I mean, the film itself, it kind of plays like a drama in a way, as it builds up, and then it slowly descends into horror, and it has some, horrific scenes for its time. And, then towards the end, like I'd say, like the last 15, 20 minutes, it just totally turns into a full-on horror film. And I just really enjoyed it. And then, just the stuff that happens at the end, really makes me want to see it again already. I'm sure it won't be long before I watch this again. But guys, if you've never seen it, check it out. If you don't mind watching the old school films, like I said, you have to kind of look at them a little bit differently, because it is, 50 years old. The acting was just different then, but it's great, it's awesome, and they just don't make films like this anymore, unfortunately. I mean, this is just really awesome, really cool film. So yeah, guys, I mean, this is, you can find this film anywhere. I mean, it's readily available. I've seen it in many different multi-packs. Well worth checking out, guys. So thanks for watching. I hope you all are doing well. Have a good one.